So Morrowind was one of the first games I went back to when I finally built my PC. It was great to finally go back to this game after so many years, but there was one thing that really annoyed me. Yeah, it was the draw distance. So in vanilla Morrowind, the draw distance at full is painfully short, like seriously short. Silent Hill is getting a bit jealous. I immediately decided that this had to be changed. So I went ahead and downloaded a program called Morrowind Graphics Extender. It's a great patcher for Morrowind that allows higher resolution, some beautiful sky textures, and even better, the ability to increase the draw distance. So it works great and doesn't have that much of an impact on my frame rate. So I usually set the draw distance value to about 5 cells, and this alone is perfect. It's great being able to play Morrowind while seeing more than 5 feet ahead of me. But I was curious, what would it be like to increase the view distance even higher? Like being able to see the entire island of Vvardenfell? Could my new Ryzen PC even handle it? So that's what we're going to find out. So to start off, I disabled the Morrowind Graphics Extender and played the game at its default draw distance. And doesn't it look great? I can barely see 5 feet ahead of me. It's extremely foggy. Like, this is at max and already it just feels really small and claustrophobic. We can barely even make out the town of Ciadenine in the distance. And now I'm going to put the view distance at its lowest and see how bearable that is. And it's even worse than I thought. Like, seriously. Not being able to see a few meters ahead of me is an understatement. At least my frame rate is stable, I guess. I was able to get around 400 to 500 frames per second at these settings, so yeah, that's not a bad start. In this day and age, I don't think this is playable. Like, I've seen phones being able to run this game at a higher draw distance. So here's the good part. I went ahead into the settings for Morrowind's Graphics Extender and increased the view distance to about 60 cells. So this is a much higher value than the 5 cells I was used to using. So when I loaded up the game, I immediately noticed that my frame rate took a huge dive. Like, I haven't seen frame drops this bad since my days of playing Morrowind on my old Acer laptop. It's not so bad when we look at the floor, but the moment we look up, yeah, the frames just take a huge dive. But we can see Ciadenine all the way from here, so that's some progress, you know, that's something. Also, just for fun, I used some console commands to give me 100 scrolls of Vicarian Flight. What are we going to do with these? Well, we're going to jump around the whole island of Vvardenfell. So immediately as I take off, you can see that we have a view of the entire island. We can pretty much see from one end of the island to the other. We can even see the whole island of Solstheim from here. I made it a goal to jump into Red Mountain, but I was having a bit of difficulty. I kept overshooting my jumps and it's probably for the best. The Daedra would have taken me out in seconds anyway. I just couldn't get past the gate. I kept jumping over it. We were jumping so far and so quickly that it was taking the game a while to load the ash from Red Mountain. Like, you know that red sky? Yeah, it was taking a while for that to pop in. From here, I figured the next stop was to jump all the way to Solstheim. You need to be on these rocks at the edge of the water in order to make it out there, but you'll get it after a couple of tries. It really makes the whole island of Solstheim look a bit smaller in the grand scheme of things. When you put it in this kind of perspective, it really does. I was able to make it to the end of the island, but I don't want to be here for too long. The wolves and the bears would just make short work of me. I mean, I'm like level 1 with barely any clothes. And yeah, that was pretty much our entire trip around Morrowind. We were able to jump around the whole place. It was fantastic. It was fun to check out. It really puts the game into perspective as we're hopping around. I was surprised at just how much it tanked my frame rate. And yeah, I wouldn't say this is exactly very playable, but it was fun to mess around with nonetheless. So anyway lads, cheers for sticking around to the end of this video. Be sure to give the video an old like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Cheers lads.